Very nice.
Here we go. And I'm going to record in my DAW.
In your DAW.
Yeah, I've remembered to do that, so it looks all professional.
Okay. There we go. So I am recording that. Oh, hang on. Backblaze. Quit.
I just backed all my stuff up this afternoon. There's an interesting conversation, isn't it? The joys of modern music.
Backblaze says they don't get in the way of your backups, but I can prove that otherwise, man. It totally stalls out my audio system whenever Backblaze fires.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pain in the ass, but I need it.
Well, I have mine set to manually run, and whenever I finished a session, I hit the manually back up.
I don't have that kind of discipline, man. I need it to run, because otherwise I'll go like 6 months. I'm like, shit, I haven't backed anything.
Oh, no, they'll message you in about 4 days to say you haven't backed anything up, you're fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't pushed that threshold yet.
It's been telling me that for years now. I have Backblaze, but like I stopped paying on it, so I probably should reinstate that and back up my shit. But
I don't know. It's one of those necessary evils. Like, you don't want to lose your music, and definitely not, professional work. If you're set, working on sessions for other people, you definitely do not want to lose that stuff. So backing up is super duper important, but
boring.
Yeah,
I'm bored already. Let's move on.
That's not what today's episode is about.
Thank God.
No, it's not. Thank goodness.
Hi, and welcome to Sound Discussion. Each episode, we discuss a music topic which we have all had first-hand experience with. These will be anything from getting started, recording, playing live, mixing, mastering, and everything in between. Most episodes, we will have a special guest to bring their professional experience to the discussion. So, let's get started.
Neil, what is today's episode about?
Today's guest, we have a guest, and he has done it all. He's an wait, I lost what I was. Sorry, I had it written.
All good, man.
I've done it all, man.
This is how professional we are.
You're gonna make me work for these edits this week.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Today's guest has done it all. He's an American singer-songwriter and recording artist, a father, husband, a business owner, and a proud Air Force veteran who spent years traveling the world, sharing his music in countries across the globe. He's been the front man for multiple bands, bringing energy and heart to every stage. But these days, he's focused on solo projects, and he has a new EP out called Tidal Waves. Welcome to the show, Jeffrey Brockman.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Woo! Welcome, man. It's great to have you here.
Happy to be here.
So, new EP out.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
Oh, man. So,
can I just straighten at the deep end then, Neil? I mean, no,
right in there.
Don't take him out for dinner first.
Just
absolutely straight in.
Right into it. Fucking right.
Hey, I got some good stories.
Not even a warm up, not even a hey, how you doing today? Just launch right in. Huh?
I'm pulling
Man,
a Nate Kelms. I'm pulling a Nate Kelms.
Oh,
I'm doing great. We can dive right in. It's all good.
All right. Tell us about your new EP, man.
Oh man, so it's new to the world, but it's something that's something that's been in the works for a really long time, and I'm talking probably a decade.
Wow.
And it started with me writing the song Around the Sun, and that song, let me start this conversation by saying, like, this album is a very somber album with tones of, crap. I don't know if I'm going to make it to tomorrow. I don't, but there's hope, and, all you got to do is, believe in yourself. And it's a very emotional album for me. Now, somebody might listen to it and be like, oh, that's a cool album. But for me, it was being as vulnerable as it gets as a songwriter. And it started in 2014, and had a military brother that decided that he didn't want to be here anymore, and he took his own life. A few weeks after that, I wrote the song Around the Sun. And, you know, he was one of my best friends, and that kind of kicked off, and that was just kind of skirting around the real issues of depression and the epidemic that veterans face with suicide. And so it was, you know, that was a hard song to write, but then I realized I was going to write even harder songs, you know, in the years to come. So that song set on the back burner. There's different variations of recording it. And then all the other songs, Wasted Years is just the last song on the album. That's, I don't know if you guys heard the band Cold, but it's one of their songs. I got Scooter Ward's permission to cover it, and, you know, kind of wanted to do the scaled down version, just piano, strings, vocals, and that's what I did for that. But the other 5 songs I wrote, and the rest of them are fairly recent, you know, within the last 2 or 3 years. But I decided once I wrote the song Tidal Waves, and Tidal Waves is that's one of those you get as raw as you can get. That one and I'm All Right. Those 2 songs are about as raw as you get. Like, holy crap, this dude's going through some stuff. And when I wrote Tidal Waves, I was like, you know, that would be a really cool title track to an EP or an album. Or so the album artwork that you see, I had AI generate it after like a million takes of, you know, trying to find something that kind of captured where I was at. This guy, this musician that was, you know, just immersed himself in writing and reading and playing, and but didn't feel like he was, you know, a part of it. Didn't feel like he was a part of the world, and everything was just crashing in on him. So that's where you get the graphics of me just kind of sitting on a stool, like looking at the earth with all this chaos around it and this wave coming to crash down. Fast forward to probably about 1.5 years ago. I'm in this band, One Way Forward. We're recording music. I kind of get a feeling like, okay, this is a cool project, but it's not going to go anywhere. You know, the bass player is kind of a peckerhead. You know, we're not going to progress, you know, beyond, you know, maybe a recorded album, which we did. We recorded an EP, put it out to the world. It's still available for everybody. But it ended at that. But the keyboard player that kind of came in last minute, he and I still work together. So I got to give him credit, Intro Newhouse. He's kind of the guy that I said, hey man, here's songs about as raw as they get. Let's see what we can do with them. And the first one was I'm All Right. And I released that one almost 1 year ago. And the goal is to release the rest of the album a couple of months later. Then life happened. And I'm like, you know what? And then when I say life happened, I didn't pick up a guitar for 6 months. You know, that's like life happened. I was in it.
Yeah. Yep. I know that.
So,
I know that well.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah. So it was about December timeframe. I'm like, you know what? I want to get this done. I need to get it out to the world. I need to get it off my plate. And, you know, I'm in therapy at the time, and I'm still in therapy. It's just something that's reoccurring for me at this point. But I'm talking to my therapist, and she's like, you know, if you just release the music, maybe it's something along the lines of writing it down in a journal, ripping it out, throwing it in the fire, and you can be done. Like, you're still going to perform those songs. You're still going to, you know, you're still going to feel those emotions when you talk about them and when you play them, but it's almost just releasing it all. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. So Andrew and I got together, worked really hard to finish everything up and get it out to the world. And I'm happy I did, because man, I woke up, and it's been out almost a week. It came out last Friday. I woke up at like 2:00 in the morning last Friday. I was like, crap, let me see if it's on, you know, I listen to YouTube Music. So let me see if it's on YouTube Music. Sure enough, it was there. And I couldn't go back to sleep. So I was listening to all the songs, even though I've heard them a million times. And I was like, okay, I better go back to bed because I got a long day ahead of me. So got up, had coffee, kind of listened to everything again, and I'm just like, I got emotional. I was like, you know, you're absolutely right. Like I can say this is this is done. I can write happier music now. You know, and I have been. But it was necessary for me. It was necessary for, I think, other veterans. It was necessary for hopefully whoever you know stumbles across it will find some peace in it. You know, not everybody's, you know, all happy and hunky dory all the time. Sometimes life, you know, snatches your glory and you have to gain it back. And that's kind of what this album's about in a long nutshell, if you will.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super cool. I mean, I think it's I'm always amazed how music is cathartic for people, regardless of what their journey is or where they've come from. The number of times you hear that music has been, you know, writing music or even just going out and playing music or whatever it is, really helps with that. I don't want to call it a recovery process, but you know, you get where I'm going with it. So
well, it sort of is, you know, it's whatever it needs to be for the artist at that moment. And conversely, the cool thing is that it could be something completely different for the listener, you know,
or even the same, like they could
or the same. They may connect exactly with what you are putting through those lyrics, and they may come up with something completely different, and it helps everybody, you know, in their way with what they need at that time. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So are you planning to go out and play the songs live? Are you going to be out and about? And
oh man, I've been playing them live for a long time. And you know,
new to the world, really old to you.
It's new to the world, but it's totally not new to my set list, any of it. I think probably the hardest song to play live is "I'm All Right," because I mean the opening lines are, "If you hadn't needed me, I wouldn't be here anymore. So much for empathy." You know, something to the, I can't remember my lyrics of my own song at this point, but it is literally about contemplating not being here anymore. And it's, you know, that first line's about my kids. That first line's about, you know, and I wrote that thinking about the worst shape that I was ever in, not being in it, just like reflecting on, like, man, I've been in some pretty dark places before. And I know damn well that I'm not the only one, particularly speaking from a veteran with PTSD and, you know, all the things that we, you know, all the baggage we gain along the way. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to write the hard song. And when I wrote that one, I wrote it when I was still with the band, and I introduced it to them, and it was like, there's no way we're playing that live. And I'm like, all right, fine. You know, it is what it is. I'll just, you know, add it to my catalog. And I remember the first time I played it live, and it's a fairly upbeat song. But if you're listening to the lyrics, it's a holy crap, dude. So yeah, I mean, that was, that's one that even when I listen to now, I'm like, well, you know, I hope somebody's getting something out of that. I sure did. But, you know, and then I've had people be like, dude, like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I promise. I'm good. I'm all right. Yeah. Yeah.
They're some of my favorite songs where it sounds really happy, but the lyrics are really sad, or it sounds really sad, but the lyrics are about something quite cheerful. I always think that's quite, I find it quite fun sort of songwriting to listen to. So, yeah.
And ironically, you know, when I handed it over to Andrew, I'm like, dude, what can you do with this? Just, you know, it was just guitar and vocals. And he's like, let's speed it up a little bit. I'm like, all right, cool. So I gave him another like scratch tracks with guitar and vocal. And he sent me something back with this funky bass line. And I'm like,
in the beginning.
That's like, and I, like, when I tell you, man, like it has been one of the coolest creative processes to work with him. Because he's just, his mind is that creative genius mind of his is just all over the place. And you know, we at this point, like we're not going to any studios to record. We're doing it all in the living room, you know. Yeah. So that's even a cooler vibe. We're sitting around, you know, either drinking coffee or, you know, having a beer and
but I think the pressure's off at that point, you know. You're really just sort of making an audio journal, and you get to be as authentic as you want to be, you know. Not to say that going to a studio and going through the process formally isn't an authentic way to do it. But
Oh,
I can
absolutely.
imagine that you and your bud just there in the living room, just working it out. You know, there's no pressure. You don't have
None.
deadlines. You don't have a budget to, you know, you got to be out of the
None.
studio in 2 weeks. None of that.
Yeah, no, and it's fun too, because I mean, I've experienced both. I've experienced the full on, you know, production of being in a studio a few times and in various countries too. And it's kind of the same process. You know, each engineer and producer has their own idiosyncrasies, you know, to how they want to do things. But I mean, overall, it's the same process. But yeah, there's nothing like I guess it's been about 2 weeks now. We recorded 2 new songs that I just wrote recently, and I invited one of my buddies over because he had never kind of seen the process, and I'm like, yeah, dude. I was like, you can talk while we're playing. As long as I'm not recording vocals, like you can, you know, you can shoot the shit. You can do whatever the hell you want and just kind of watch the creativity happen. So I recorded 2 songs, and then my buddy Andrew, he was like, hey man, I've got some music that I'd like to see if we could, you know, make a song out of. And so I was like, just loop it, and I'll write. And about 5 minutes later, I stand in front of the microphone. It's, you know, just scratch vocals, and I come up with something, and it's based off of a conversation that he and I had, you know, about relationship. And I'm singing this song, and I look over at my buddy, and I've got my phone up because I haven't memorized any of these lyrics or anything, and I'm like, all right, like that's all I've got for now, but it'll at least get the melody and, you know, the idea of the song out. And I look over at my buddy, and he was like, holy shit. He's like, you guys literally just did that in real time. I'm like, when you say no pressure, there's no pressure. It's just, you know, I've literally got the candles lit, the incense burning, and I have to bring my dog's bed into the area that we're recording, and he'll just sleep. Sometimes I got to wake his ass up because he'll start snoring when I'm trying to record vocals. But, you know, other than that, like there's literally no pressure. So it's cool.
That's cool. Nice. Yeah. So the Andrew is the guy's name you were working with. Was he the producer, if you will, for?
Yeah,
for
I guess we both produced the music. I mean, you know, I've got the initial concept, and I when I tell you, I'm like, hey man, show me what you can do with this, because I wanted him to be as much of pour whatever he was thinking and what he was feeling from the initial song, and let's see where it goes. And I don't think there's one song on the album, other than the cover song "Wasted Years," that I knew exactly what I wanted out of it. Maybe "Hold On to Them." You know, that's kind of it's a different type of song for me, but I kind of envision this Celtic type feel, and I don't know.
It almost has
I was
thinking
that same thing. Yeah.
So it's got the toast in the beginning of it.
Yeah. So if I'll share that too. A good friend, and Neil, I don't know if you ever knew him, but Steve McNulty.
I don't know if I knew him. In Tarpon Springs he lived in, right? And
he lived in Dunedin, but
he lived
played
in
all
Dunedin.
over the
Okay.
place. Yeah. But he was a local singer-songwriter. You know, did a lot of cover stuff, but really super nice guy. And he passed away the last couple of months. Literally as we're finishing the album and getting ready to send it for mixing and mastering, and he had passed away, and I knew this toast that he gave, and so I kind of reached out to the Facebook community. I'm like, hey, does anybody have a video of Steve giving this toast? Because I'd like to incorporate it into one of my songs. Sure enough, like 5 minutes, somebody's like, I got you, and they sent it to me, and I'm like, oh, thank God. So whenever I submit all the stems to the engineer to mix and master it, I'm like, hey, fit this in the beginning of Hold On to Them. I'm not a funeral guy. I'm not a celebration of life guy. All that stuff's really difficult, and so that was kind of my way of paying homage to him. He was a really good friend to me and a lot of other people. Just a solid dude.
That's really cool.
So I'm happy. I'm happy that's there. Yeah, I'm happy that's there. But yeah, Ian kind of got off track there. Yeah, Andrew is this.
No, it's quite all right.
Yeah, he's this amazing, quirky dude that is musically just creative as hell. so it's cool that I've kept that connection from the previous band, and we're able to work together. Like, so there's no pressure, there's no creative expectation, other than when we know the direction it's going, we really try to fine tune it. And you know, I'm listening to the album, you know, every day or two, and I think any musician does this, but you notice little things like, crap, I could have fixed that, crap, I could have done that, you know. But
Yeah,
like, I beat myself up about it.
Guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, having listened to it, as everyone always says, a mix is never finished; it's just abandoned, and you abandoned them at exactly the right point. They sound great, you know. As
Awesome.
sat there listening the other day, it's a great sounding album.
Yeah, thank you.
The song "Hold On" today, like I love the way you have the acoustic guitar going in the background with the electric guitars and all the different guitars that you use in that song. That is it's also as the album progresses, when you get to Tidal Waves, it's very like very, very emotional. And then today seems almost like there's hope. It's almost like it turns it around. So I love the order that you did the album in.
Yeah, the flow felt really, really good.
Yeah, and I was worried about that, you know, particularly having, I mean, I released I'm All Right, and then I was like, where is this going to fit into the rest of the album? I knew I wanted it to be part of the EP, and that was the original plan. But as I listened to it, you know, before I submitted everything, once I had all the master tracks and kind of put them in order, and I think I got it right. And, you know, you listen, Neil, to your point of, you know, there's hope, and then you get to wasted years, and it's like, you know, it's all over. But yeah, today was one of those songs that I wrote while I was in it. Like, it was a song to remind myself, like, you've done this before, you can make it through. I guess you can add, it's Neil, you said I've done it all. One of the things I forgot to tell you guys about is that I started doing like my own videos too. Wow. So I did a music video for today, and it's just a conceptual video of people. Yeah. So, and I did a couple of videos when I was with One Way Forward. If you have a chance to check out the song "Everything" by One Way Forward, the music video for that's probably my favorite one that I've produced. So those are fun too, very time consuming, but they're fun. And I do it all from my phone, believe it or not. It's kind of
cool. Send me some links to the YouTube channels, and we can put them in the show notes or whatnot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's amazing. Definitely, modern artists have to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
Unless you're lucky enough to be signed to a massive record label, you have to be songwriter, musician, producer, video editor, marketing guru. I mean, you really do have to. It's all on you.
Yeah, the marketing side of things I'm horrible at, because I'm just like, man,
it's hard. It's hard to do it.
Yeah.
It's not art. It's not, you know, in a lot of ways, it's not creativity. It's the business side of it. And it's just as important, maybe even more these days than the actual art itself.
But it's also very difficult to do, especially
it's really difficult.
Yeah. I have to say, I work with a couple of other veterans. They're both Air Force guys. The Def Color guys are both ex-Air Force. They work really hard on their marketing and their promo and all that, and it's incredible. There's almost as much effort that goes into that as there is actually in songwriting, recording, getting the stuff down. It's like, right, now we've got to do this. So yeah, hats off to anyone out there doing it, because it's a grind. It really is.
It totally is. Yeah. And you know, I know I could probably put a little bit more effort into that, but you know, I'm a business owner as well. I own a clothing company, so I put a lot of time into that. You know, I'm a father, I'm a husband. And there's only so much time.
Hippie veteran, right? Yeah.
Hippie veteran clothing company. Yep. Yeah, which I should be wearing one of my shirts, but I figured I'd wait.
The grunge is dead. I like that.
Yeah, that's all good, man. That's cool though. I mean, yeah, you wear a lot of hats, both in and out of your music life, and I think we all can relate to that. You know.
Definitely.
We're all parents. We're all you know, we have day jobs or you know, we're deep in our music careers, and then within the music career there's a ton of things that you have to be able to do. And maybe, like Ben said, you're lucky and you can have someone help you out with some of that stuff, or a large entity, farm that kind of stuff out, take care of it for you. But for the most part, you are it. You're the one-man show, right? You're running everything. You're keeping the lights on and you're keeping the music playing. And that can be really tough to balance. What has playing in your area been like? So you said you play your shows out. Do you play by yourself? Do you play with a band? Do you just grab some friends and just, put something together when you have a gig? What do those look like?
It's all been solo, and it's even this year, like I don't play all the time. If I play once a month, it's and I like to keep it that way. There's a lot of artists that I feel oversaturate a specific area sometimes, and I get it. They're grinding. That's their job. And don't hold it against them at all. But if I want to go listen to live music, I'm like, I just saw them last week, or whatever. Yeah. And like I said, it's nothing against them, but I try to support all the local artists. And what I found too is I hadn't played since when I told you I took the musical hiatus. I hadn't played in 6-7 months, and the first time I played, it was a packed house. Played again, it was a packed house. And I felt really bad for the business owner. It was as soon as I was done, everybody took off, and I was like, "Crap!" I didn't mean for everybody to. So it was kind of a cool experience, because everybody's like, "Well, man, we haven't seen Jeff play in forever."
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I try to keep it to maybe once a month, and it keeps it fresh for me too. It keeps it exciting, because there was a point where I was like, "Man, I'm so sick of playing," and it wasn't fun anymore. And I don't want it to ever not be enjoyable.
I've been there. Like last year, it wasn't last year, well, a year and a half ago, like I was playing literally twice a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and it became more of a job.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it helped as far as money wise, because as a teacher, I don't make that much money, so gigging twice a weekend was it helped money wise. But like what you said, like you get over, like people won't come out and see you twice a weekend, right? So you're not going to bring that crowd twice a weekend to wherever you are. You play at certain places and you can build a following there, but they're not going to see you both days.
It's true. It's true. And props to the artists that are out there grinding and making it happen. We've got a lot of phenomenal musicians in the local area.
Yeah, Tarpon Springs is full of them.
Yeah, they're full of them. There's never a night that you can't go out to a brewery or a restaurant or a club and see some amazing music. So props to the local music scene for sure. But yeah, for me, it's and I'll be 47 another week. Yeah, another week. So I still love performing, but it's not my priority anymore. It's I think I make it a priority because I think I turn down more gigs than I accept. And I'm okay with that.
I think you're lucky to be in a position where you can turn down gigs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people are in a different boat. So I think a mark of success, not the only one, but a mark of success is to be able to turn down gigs and say, no, you know what? I'm gonna pick and choose how I spend my time and how I distribute my art. Yeah, so that's really cool.
Sure. Yeah.
How long have you been playing music? When did you start?
So I was 16 years old, and my dad, it was my birthday, around my 16th birthday, I believe. My stepmom would know for sure, but I believe I was probably 16 years old. I grew up in a musical family. My dad played guitar. My grandfather played. He was in bands his whole life. I've got cousins that are musically inclined. My brother is an amazing guitar player.
Wow.
But I was about 16 years old, and I was more of the shy vocalist growing up. I never, I wrote my first cheesy poem at 12 years old, and I just kept writing poetry. And my dad handed me this guitar, and it was a Yamaha guitar that he had, just acoustic guitar that he had got from a pawn shop or a garage sale or something. And he's like, here you go. He handed me this book of chords, and he was like, I was like, well, Dad, you play guitar. Like, come on, man. Like, hook me up, teach me. But anyway, so that kind of got me interested in actually playing. And man, I couldn't tell you I think the first song that I ever put together was probably for my girlfriend, and it was probably horrible. And, but I really got serious whenever I went to Korea. I was stationed in Korea for 1 year, and I met a group of guys that were really good. And I'm like, okay, well, let's write some music together. And I started playing with it at my previous duty station a little bit, but I wasn't out performing live. And my first real performance was in Korea at one of the NCO clubs. And it was with just 2 other performers. And man, I was so nervous. So that was a 2002 timeframe. So that's when I really started getting into it. And I'm like, I really enjoy this. So after that duty station, it was my first time being the front man for a rock band. So I wasn't playing any instruments. I was writing all the songs for the most part. My buddy Lee was doing some of the songwriting as well. But I knew pretty quickly after that first performance, like this is something I wanted to continue to do. I wanted to continue to write music. There was a point when I was stationed in Italy where I was about done. I didn't want to. I mean, I don't know if this was just a phase or what. But I was playing at a Relay for Life main stage. The night before, my band had played, and it was pouring down rain. So they were like, we're out. We're not going to get electrocuted. And I'm like, well, I kind of feel obligated, to stand up here and do the whole rock star playing in the rain type thing. And I finished, finished the set. It was like 3 or 4 more songs, and it's a total Gavin Rossdale moment without the long hair, But the next day I played, and it was just me, just solo performance. And I played this song that I've never played since, and it was called Other Side. And it was about the other side of that depression and the suicidal ideations and all these things. The other side of that was self-acceptance. You can get through this. And it was probably one of the first songs that I had really written about, that vulnerable state. But I was playing this, and in my head, I'm thinking this is probably going to be one of the last times I perform. I wasn't going to be in Italy much longer. I was moving back to the States. My heart just wasn't in it. I played this song, and everybody's like walking around and this relay for life. And this one dude was standing in front of the stage, and he listened, like, eyes on me, just listening. He wasn't walking, none of that. I didn't think anything of it. I was at the store a couple of weeks later, and I hear this, "Hey man, you're Jeff Brockman." And I'm like, yeah, I'm Jeff. And he was like, "You played at Relay for Life." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "How was it? Were you there for the Gavin Rossdale moment, or were you there like the next day when it was all sunny outside?" And he was like, "I was there the next day." And he asked what the Gavin Rossdale moment was, and I was like, "Oh, never mind." This is what got me. This is what I was like, man, I can't quit music. I can't not do this. He said, "You saved my life." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he tells me the story about how he had everything planned out. This is, you may have to edit this out, I don't know, but he said, "I had everything planned out. I was going to go home and I was going to end it." He said, "I was done. I just came back from deployment. My wife had left me." It was a classic country song. My wife had left me, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry to hear that." He's like, "But you played that one song, and it made me realize that, like, I could probably make it through it." And I was like, "You kidding me?" And he was like, I'm dead serious, man." He's like, "And I just want to say thank you." And so we're standing in the store, I forget what aisle it was on. All I remember was ranch dressing. And I'm hugging it out with this guy. Both of us are in tears, and I'm telling him thank you. He's telling me thank you. And in my mind, I'm like, I can't stop writing. I can't stop performing. I can't. I got to keep going.
Yeah.
Whatever. If it did that for one life, I'm just going to keep writing. So
that's the impact of music right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that blew me away. And I tell that story occasionally, particularly like the Writers in the Round. You know, I'll throw that one out there. But man, that's one that kind of lit a spark in me as well as a musician. And then I realized it's just kind of an ebb and flow of creativity. There'll be months where I don't do anything creatively, still perform, and then I'll literally be driving home and every stoplight I'm like writing, you know, a bar of lyrics. And it's, you know, I can't write fast enough. And that's when it gets cool. That's when you're like, man, there's so much, I gotta capture it all. And
that's a really cool flow to be in. Yeah, when you got those one-liners kind of hitting you, and you're just like, "Oh, that's great. Oh, that's even great." And they might not even be related, but you just have these thought bubbles just sort of blown off in your head. Yeah, that's really cool.
So Hold On to Them was one of those moments. I wrote that on the way home from work at the stoplights, like as I'm going home. I wrote the entire song on a 45-minute drive home.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question: is what comes first for you when you're writing a song? Is it the lyrics or the melody?
Depends. Sometimes it's one or the other. I don't think it's more so the lyrics than the melody, but sometimes I'll get this melody stuck in my head and then I have to question, is this a melody that I've heard from just listening to various types of music or,
right.
you know,
yeah. Am I about to steal this?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, you know, I can't remember her name, but I listened to the podcast where you guys kind of talked about that a little bit, but I was like, man, you know, I've got, you know, there's some songs where I've had to challenge myself. Okay, this sounds familiar to me, and I wrote one of the most recent ones I wrote, and I haven't finished it because of this. And it was Higher Vibrations, and it's I started singing the song, the melody that I thought I created, and then I was listening to a song by a reggae band out of Boston, and I was like, holy crap, that's that melody. I can't write the song.
Yeah.
Right? And I had just listened to it. So naturally it's like coming to me and I'm thinking like, oh, there's higher vibrations. And I can't, I'm like, well, crap, that melody's already taken and it's way too close to home. So I definitely can't do that. But I'm keeping the lyrics and I'll throw them over to Andrew or something.
Maybe you can like, you know, just change the melody just a little bit. You know?
Yeah. I'm totally keeping the lyrics, but the melody is just it's almost note for note. I'm like, man. So I always have to second guess myself if it's melody first. If it's lyrics first, different story. Like, but and it most of the time it is.
So you're from what you've said, you're not one of those people who sets aside an hour every day to write, or you know, some people. I think it's Jack White, isn't it, who says, you know, songwriting's a muscle, and he has to exercise it every day. You know, he sets aside an hour and a half and just writes songs. That doesn't work for you.
I wish that were the case, but man, creativity can hit you at any time. I mean, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning, it could be on the drive home, it could be while you're in a meeting, it could be, you know, while you're having dinner. I've told my wife plenty of times, like, crap, I just got to finish this song. Like, I'll eat later, you know, 'cause I'll be right in the middle of writing something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have one of those moments when I'm like laying down, getting ready to fall asleep. My brain is slowing down. And then like I hear a drum and guitar, you know, sort of melody going off. I'm like, damn it, that's really good. And I try and remember it. I'm like, okay, let's burn this into my memory. Because I'm I'm too tired. I cannot get up. I cannot go downstairs. I'm ready to go to sleep. And I'm just hoping I remember it when I wake up. Only maybe once or twice has that actually worked. And I remember it in the morning. I'm like, oh, right. Okay, I guess it's meant to be.
Just take your phone out and, you know.
Yeah, I have done that. I have done that. But then I have times where I'll fire up that voice memo a couple days later and I'm just like,
what was that?
What is this? This makes no sense. I do, you know, you have like a sort of drum pattern going and then you sing you hum the melody and it sounds great in the moment and it makes sense. And then 3 days later, it's just noise. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I hear you.
We've all had those, I think. The nonsense moments in the night where,
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got this song that I wrote for my wife, and the opening line are, lyrics are running through my head at the speed of sound, but there's no way to write them down. But they're all thoughts of you rolling through my head and pumping through my veins, and it's so comforting. and I just wrote, I've got the million things running through my mind. Lyrics are rolling through my head, speed of sound. I wrote that down because I couldn't remember the freaking lyrics that I was going to write down. So I just wrote that line down instead. Yeah, so I totally get you on the lyrical part anyway. And Neil's right. Like I've got more memos and probably, Nate, to your point, some that I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? But but yeah, I use a voice recorder quite a bit.
How often do you find yourself writing with other people as opposed to by yourself? Do you seek out like songwriter groups in your local area or anything informal like that?
Andrew and I have done it a few times. I haven't formally written with, like, sat down and wrote lyrics and talked about creating a song from scratch in that setting, like that organized setting in a long time. The closest thing to that, I guess, was a couple of weekends ago when Andrew's like, here, I have this music we can do with it, but it's a bit different. I've got buddies up in Nashville that, I mean, they'll set aside time, a bunch of random songwriters will all get together and they'll see what they can come up with. And I think that's cool, but for me, I guess it's super intimidating as well, because my creative brain's always like, this sounds good to me, but I don't know if it's going to sound good to anybody else. So, whatever. But I'm also at the point now in my life where I'm like, I don't care. My creativity is an expression of who I am, and I don't, So yeah, maybe something that I explore. I don't know of any groups like that around here. I'm sure there are.
I don't know of any either.
Yeah.
I know there's like open mics and things like that in the area.
Yeah.
And where you live in Tarpon, where you live in Tarpon Springs, I no longer live in that area. I live over in Wesley Chapel, so getting over to Tarpon Springs is sometimes difficult for me. But unless I have a show over there, and then if I have a show, I can't like go see you or any of the musicians over there. So
I try to branch.
It's just down the road, isn't it, Neil?
It's down the road.
Just down the road.
Yeah.
No, in the Tampa Bay area, to go anywhere takes an hour.
Tampa Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your primary instrument when you're writing? Do you sit down with a guitar? Do you sit down with the piano?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a 4-chord wonder on a guitar, so I know enough to write a song. I can operate the capo like a champ, man. Like I think the lyric part of songwriting is my strong suit for sure.
Okay.
If it weren't for other musicians making what I've initially created sound much better than it actually is, it totally wouldn't. And that's just the honest truth. Not to say that, I mean, I can definitely hold my own, but I think I pride myself a little bit more on the songwriting and arranging the initial production, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've always been fascinated by those people like you that can like just come up with lyrics and say, I'm not good at writing lyrics. I can write really cool music, but then I don't have any lyrics to go to that. So how many songs does Neil have on Spotify? 1. So that's it.
It's out there. It's out there though.
Hey,
it's out there. 1 song.
So the EP took you a while to get sort of come to fruition and get finished. What does next look like for Jeff Brockman? Are you straight back into songwriting for the next EP, or do you take a break and just enjoy what you've done?
Well, the crazy thing is that I've got enough music. I mean, I've got a catalog that hasn't been recorded. I could probably put out, I don't know, with songs that I'm comfortable recording and releasing, I could probably put out another 4 albums or so. So I've got plenty of material to actually record and put out. But I guess it kind of goes back to that initial conversation of recording it and getting it out to the world. Like with Tidal Waves, that was more of a necessity for me than anything, and it was more therapeutic for me than anything. So some of the other songs, and I, you know, my wife would be like, well, hold on a second, you've got all those love songs that you've never recorded, you know, and that'll probably be next, honestly. You know, I've got a lot of beautiful music that I've written when, you know, about our relationship and some of those struggles with our relationship too, as you know, any couple goes through. So, but I think the focus will kind of be on that. And, you know, I've got songs that I've written about my father that I'd love to put. I mean, I could put a whole album out just about my dad, you know, and he passed away a few years ago, and, you know, it took me a while to write anything about him, but I've got so much music. So yeah, the short answer is yes. You know, we're probably once or twice a month recording, and you know, going back to, there's no pressure. Like, it's whatever. I'm not recording right now to purposely put another album out. I know that's going to come, but I'm recording what I'm feeling right now. If I wrote a song called Slow Down just a couple of weeks ago, and I told Andrew, I'm like, hey dude, why don't you come over to the house? You know, I've got this, and I sent him the scratch tracks to the song, and, you know, he kind of took it a different direction. This is one of those where I knew that I wanted it to be a little bit more, you know, bluesy than anything. So he came over, we recorded it. As a matter of fact, he messaged me right before he came on here, and he's like, hey, I've got some cool ideas. I'm going to send them to you, you know, later on tonight. And so I think I'm going to kind of base the next project off of that song. And it's an extension of Tidal Waves. It's about, but it's more so about that other side of all of this. It's reminding yourself that, man, life's beautiful. You're still going to go through it. There's still going to be struggles. Life is still going to come at you. But how you handle those situations, the doors that open, the doors that close, it's not all bad. And that's what Slow Down's about. It's the ending line of the chorus is, it's time to slow down, take a look around, and enjoy the view. And it's a very bluesy song. So I may kind of base the next project off of that, because it's a little bit different for me. I'd love to get some hip hop. Like, I've been dying to put out like a rap album, just to blow people's mind. You know, do a cover of "Lose Yourself" by Eminem or something. You know, I don't know.
What's stopping you?
Nothing. I'm determined. One day everyone's gonna wake up and Jeff Brockman is gonna have covered "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, and it's gonna be out there for the universe. And it may take me 2 months to record it because Eminem's a freaking genius. But whatever. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna do something.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you said that with the EP you recorded it all Let's go. At home, in your living room. What kind of equipment do you have to record? What interface do you use? A microphone, and what DAW?
Oh man, so we recorded all of, and I wish Andrew was around to talk to him, because we recorded all of this album on his equipment. And you had to ask me, because
it was a microphone, Nate. Yep.
It was a microphone. Yeah.
Yeah. That was involved.
Well, there was a microphone. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I know. I use a Shure microphone to record vocals. I don't remember exactly what model. I do know that for a fact. I play a Martin guitar. But as far as all of his interfaces, and he's got quite the setup that he brings over, and I whenever I'm recording, just goofing around and putting ideas together, it's a PreSonus collection that I haven't broke that out in forever, but I should probably keep those skills somewhat polished, because I haven't done it in a while, particularly with Andrew kind of taking the helm at all of the recording process with Tidal Waves.
Well, that again takes the pressure off, doesn't it? If you've got someone else pushing the buttons and moving the mouse, and you can just concentrate on playing and expressing yourself, it takes that is one of the advantages of going to a studio. You can just be the musician.
Right. And then you could specialize. I think a while back we had talked about, specializing in something in music. Like, you can be a jack of all trades, but like definitely specializing in a specific area. Yours would be lyric writing and songwriting, and you're really, really good at that. And Ben, you do
stuff,
master, drums, and and we tend to find the thing that we're really good at, and
I think try and not putting pressure on yourself that you have to learn, because DAWs, we all have to use them, but I've still never thought they're the easiest thing in the world to use. They're not designed for an idiot to use. And I think a lot of musicians probably end up feeling under pressure that they have to learn how to use it, and they have to get good at it, and they have to be quick in it, and you really don't, especially if you're recording at home. You don't have to be quick. Just
not at all.
Well, definitely give.
That's the cool thing with Andrew, because he uses it so much, because he's got a whole setup at home that he just kind of travels with, and
cool.
So he's very proficient at it, much more proficient than I am on all my equipment. But to that, Neil, to your point, that having that specialized skill. When I was with One Way Forward, we went to Dupree Studio Recordings, just south of here, and Joshua Dupree, we worked with him. I mean, when you talk about someone specialized in the craft as an engineer and producer, and he's very good. And that's who I don't even attempt to mix and master my music. I just send it to him because I know the product that I'm going to get back. I try to give him good product to begin with, so there's not a lot of hey, I need to fix this or fix this. I don't ever recall him saying, hey, I had to fix your voice on this, which is I've really taken pride in. But
that's great.
But he's kind of been he's been a godsend. He's an amazing person first and foremost, but he's very specialized in what he does, and I'm happy to continue to work with him. He'll be my go-to for any future projects for sure.
Who did the drums?
So so check this out, and you guys are going to be like, oh man, particularly if you're a drummer, you're a guitar player, everything was done on keyboards. Everything.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
It sounded really good.
Technology is amazing. Like what you can do with
it is.
As we've always said on this podcast, when the end listener's listening, it doesn't matter how you got there. Doesn't matter what you used, how you got there. If they listen to it and go, that's really good, I like that.
Yeah. It's and I've got plenty of friends who are drummers, and they're amazing drummers, but I'm thinking, man, are I really going to piss off all the neighbors? Do I have all of the microphones necessary like to properly mic up? Is the sound right? Because that's very I remember being in the studio.
It is very technical.
Dedicated room for the drummer. So I'm happy we went the route that we did. Once again, no pressure, makes things easier. So it's and I'm happy with the product too. It's a labor of love. I'm happy it's out. Everything. I mean, other than the acoustic guitar, and vocals, everything was done on Android's million keyboards that he's got.
Oh, okay. So the acoustic guitar was a live guitar?
That's me.
That's you. That's me. Okay. But the electric guitar the electric guitars were virtual instruments.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. I would not have thought that.
Yeah. And it's the first time I heard, I was at Andrew's house, and he was showing me some songs that he was sending up to Nashville, just like instrumental stuff. And he started, I had headphones on. I had my back turned to him because I was setting up my equipment, and I hear this lead guitar, and it's almost like somebody's shredding on a guitar. And I look back, and he's just, and I'm like, hold up a second. You're doing that on the keyboard? And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, listen to this. And it's, he's got a whole horn section, and I'm like, no way, this is dope. Like, it's super cool.
Wow.
I'm like,
good. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, when I tell you, he makes my music sound way better. He's done it all. this is a guy that's, you know, he's been a touring musician and settled down now, but you know, I'm going to date him a little bit, but you know, he's played with Commodores. He toured with the Commodores back when they were, I guess, I don't know. I don't think they're still together. Back when he was like really young, he toured with John Mayer.
Wow.
He's played with a couple of other well-known artists that don't come to mind at the moment, but he's got some cool stories about it all for sure. He was just a hired gun, you know, to play piano and keys and everything else. But yeah, I'm excited to work with him because I can just hand him something and, all right, tell me what you're feeling. And he'll send something back. And probably about 90% of the time, I'm like, all right, I like that. And, you know, so he's got as much of as part of the he's got much of the creative process as I do when we're working on a project.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. That's great.
I love that, you know, what's come out is a absolutely top quality end product. So anyone who says, oh yeah, you can't, you know, virtual instruments, you can't make a professional product with virtual instruments. It's like, yeah, you can. Yeah, you absolutely can.
The sound is really progressed.
You know, it's come a little over a year ago. I was one of those people, and yeah, I remember that moment because I was just blown away.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh man, I can make anything sound," you know, and he's got the top notch equipment to do it too, you know. So, but yeah,
and the skills.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, that's at the end of the day.
Some virtual instruments. He's the guy. I'm telling you.
He's the guy. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to if you've got the skills to do it. You know, then
I totally don't. So it's I'm happy he's a good friend and a cool dude and an amazing musician too. So, yeah.
That's really great.
Makes my stuff sound a lot better for sure.
And we've definitely gotten to a place where like the technology has gotten that good and the price of the technology has come down to where if you have the skills, like you're able to take those skills and apply it and make great music.
Yeah.
Whereas before, back in the day, like even if you had the skills, if you didn't have the equipment and the technology and the time and the space and all that stuff, you were limited. You were definitely limited. So we're living in an amazing time where the technology has definitely gotten to the point where we can do it pretty much anything.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this a couple of days ago, but as a vocalist, what scares me is the AI component. You know, am I going to release a song without my knowledge at some point just because my voice is already out there? You know, so yeah, I don't know.
I mean, who knows? But it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
It's exciting and scary all at the same time. What technology?
It really is. I mean, you know, utilizing ChatGPT for even just everyday tasks, let alone, you know, a creative aid. It's really good at what it does, and it produces some really top quality results. It can produce some bad results too, but more often than not, whenever I use ChatGPT or another AI platform, I'm generally happy with the results that it gives me.
Yeah, I use it regularly as well. I mean, my album artwork was all AI.
And
I gave it the prompts and it came up with it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great. Yeah. Matt, well, this has been a really great conversation. I'm not sure, Neil, did you have anything else that you wanted to toss in there?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Are we gonna finish on an hour?
I think we're gonna finish on an hour.
Look at that.
This will never happen.
I think that might be the case here.
It's the future.
We'll see. We have one more question left, and you know, who knows? This could be the
it'll all be on my shoulders to finish in the next 3 minutes or so.
What is a critical tool for you? So normally one of our questions is, what's your go-to plugin that you utilize? But you know, you may not have a go-to plugin in your case. But what is a critical tool for you when it comes to songwriting? What's the one or two things that you cannot be without when you're sitting down and creating something?
So this is maybe a little unorthodox, but as far as a tool, but solitude, just being by myself. No distractions, and that's easier said than done sometimes, specifically, you know, being a family man and busy, but that being able to think through a writing process, particularly if it's coming at me fast. Like, there are times I'll write a song in 5 minutes because I've just been in the space to do it. So having that as a songwriter, that tool to, if it even is a tool, but just having that solitude, just being able to really process what's coming at me, and then, you know, welcoming what, you know, the next line may be. Yeah, that's a great question. Trying to think if there's anything else.
Well,
just accepting the creative process, man. Like,
yeah, okay.
I don't fight it anymore. I don't force it. I don't fight it. It is what it is, man. There's a line in it's a song by The Movement called Redwoods, and The Movement's kind of a, you know, white boy reggae band. And there's a band, Ayatera, that has a line in there that says, "The universe is speaking to you. We are just the instruments." And that line has always stuck with me as an artist, because just like we, you know, just everybody talks about being open, you know, to what the universe is telling you. For me, being able to calm my mind enough and to realize when, you know, whether you believe in a higher power or not, like, hey, dude, you're an artist. This is what you do. I'm going to give you a message. You interpret it the way you want. You make a song out of it, release it to the world, and it's going to help somebody. And that's kind of the way that I look at it. So having that solitude and then just that open mind to be creative and not force it and not fight it, that's extremely important. And it's a hard lesson I've learned too.
That's powerful. That's really inspiring. That line right there. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. I have one more little question.
Oh, here we go. Brace yourself.
Neil's final question.
Dun, dun.
We've all been in bands.
Yeah.
What is the name of your first band? I always like to just kind of
Release.
What's that?
Release.
Why does everybody have good names for their first bands, and mine is so bad?
What was yours, Ben?
No, we're not doing that again. We're not going down that road again. Truly awful names for bands, but everyone seems to have cool names for bands. Who was it on? I think it was the last guest who had like. Oh no, it was the guys when we did the hearing.
Yeah, the audiologists. Yeah,
the audiologists, and they all had
they had great band names.
Awesome band names. I'm like, that can't be your first band. I'm not having it. I'm absolutely not having it.
Yeah, that was a fun project for sure. Yeah,
very
awesome.
Cool.
Well, that's cool.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to be our guest this month on the podcast. This was a really great look into your creative process and how you created your latest EP, Tidal Waves. If people wanted to find you either on the internet, or if they find themselves in the Tampa Bay area and wanted to catch you at a show, where can they find out more about you and sort of keep in touch with you?
Yeah, so Facebook's probably the easiest. I keep it fairly updated, which reminds me I've got to add some shows on there this afternoon. But so Jeffrey Brockman Music on Facebook, that's my music page. And Instagram, I think it's Jeffrey Brockman Official. But I generally post more on Facebook. I've connected the two, but I'm like kind of going back to that marketing thing. But anyway, so Jeffrey Brockman Music on Facebook is the easiest way. And that's like kind of keep up with whatever I'm doing. I'll post when I'm recording and, awesome. Up to no good. Yep.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
We'll make sure we put those in the show notes, point everyone in the right direction.
Yeah. And then as far as the music, it's on all streaming platforms. So you can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very cool, man. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Yeah, thanks for joining Three Idiots to talk about music for an hour.
Hey, I've enjoyed every moment of it. It's all good.
Nice. Thanks very much, man. Pleasure to meet you.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
What a nice guy.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice guy. And look, you can do top quality music using virtual instruments and anything else you get your hands on.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised when he said that aside from the acoustic guitar and his voice, that everything was MIDI instruments. I would not have thought that, especially the electric guitars. Like it wasn't even a thought that occurred to me listening to it. I just said, "Oh yeah, those are electric guitars, and they sound great." Like, maybe the engineer side of me was thinking like, I wonder if those are programmed drums. But I certainly wasn't saying those sounded like programmed drums. It was just a thought that bounced across my head. I would have lost that bet if y'all had posted that bet to me. I would not have won. That's crazy that and
a good album. I mean, people just go and listen to it. Go check it out.
It's a good collection of songs. I really enjoyed my time listening to it. Man, what a great story. Especially, his background and what led him to writing that music and what led him to this moment. And I think that, one of those things I'd love to have a guest on at some point. I don't know who. If anyone's listening and you feel this gap, please reach out and send us a message. But I'd love to have like a music psychologist or a mental health expert that works with musicians, because mental health is extremely important, but it can be the lifeblood to a musician, and their creative process, and it can be the thing that tears them down,
gets in the way. Absolutely.
So I would love to unpack that at some point. And that may be a two-parter. That's going to be a real heavy episode. But if there's anyone out there that is in that profession or knows someone, please reach out. I'd love to connect with that person. That would be really great.
That sounds like a good episode. I'm down for that.
That would be an interesting episode for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway,
how do we exit this? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know how. Do we steal from?
No, we can't.
No, we can't.
No,
we
can't do that.
I mean, maybe they're listening. Probably not.
Steal from who?
From Smartless.
From Smartless.
Yeah.
We could go and buy some goods at the store. There, we've just stolen it. Court case pending. Sorry, Sean, and everybody at Smartless.
Well, I guess we'll just have to come up with our own outro. That
probably just say bye.
See you later.
Should have like a ending catchphrase.
We should.
That's the way it was.
If we're smarter, we'll work on this for next time. Anyway,
we're not.
Thanks for hanging out with everybody. We'll see you next month on Sound Discussion. Later.
Bye.
Peace.
Hi, thanks for listening to this episode of Sound Discussion. You can find out more about today's episode by checking the description area here in YouTube or by going to our website, sounddiscussionpodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our mailing list so you can be kept up to date on new episodes, updates from the team, and additional content only available to newsletter subscribers. And as always, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for taking the time today to sit in on our conversation, and we can't wait to have you back next month for another episode of Sound Discussion.
And I look back and he's just, and I'm like, hold up a second. You're doing that on a keyboard?